everybody, welcome back to my studio. It is so lovely to have you here today. Here in the UK, well, where I am in the UK, it's an absolutely beautiful sunny day. Spring, I think, is coming. The snowdrops are going over and the daffodils are coming out and the birds are singing, and it just feels like everything's alive again, which is lovely after being kind of clamped down over the winter. We've still got sort of lockdown and stuff going on, so I hope you're all okay. It's lovely to be talking to you again. I have to say, my last week's video I actually made a little while ago as part of what I was doing in my studio at the time, and I kind of wanted to share it with you because it was a little insight into parts of my studio that you maybe haven't seen before. But it meant I wasn't really sitting chatting to you in this sort of now time, if you like, so I've kind of missed that. So it's lovely to be back here with you. Welcome to my studio, and welcome if it's your first time here, you know, especially a warm welcome to you. It's lovely to have you here, and thank you everybody for your lovely comments. I've had some fantastic things being said to me, and that just makes me feel wonderful, because I sit here and chat to this camera and I show you stuff, and to get the feedback is just wonderful. It makes it all worthwhile. I mean, it's worthwhile anyway because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. But if I'm helping you in any way, that's fantastic. If I'm getting you inspired, that's lovely. You don't all have to go out and buy an embellishing machine. It's not necessary. And in fact, today we're going to be doing something. I'm going to be showing you something that doesn't use an embellisher, even though it is one of my favourite things in the world. So what I'm going to do today is show you setting up how I set about a project. Those of you who haven't been here before, this is what I do. I get boxes of fabrics out and I play with the colours. I sometimes have an idea in my head of where I want it to go, but today is rather special because I'm making something for a friend. It's a commissioned piece. It's just, she would like a phone case made with my embroidered style. I've made one or two things for her last year and I really enjoyed doing that. This is a swap, so there's no money involved, which is quite nice. We've done a swap for something, and that's really great because then it like kind of takes the pressure off, so I'm free to do what I feel is right. And what I do, okay, top secret this, but it's a bit sort of weird, but I kind of tune in. I tune into what I feel she would like, and I ask, you know, is this a colour that she would like? And I get a feeling inside me that says yes or no. So I've kind of going to build up the colours that way, and we'll see where it takes me. So it's an adventure. I think every time I make something, it's an adventure. It's an exploration. I always say I never quite know what the outcome's going to be, and I'm willing to change as I go along. I think it's a bit like life, really. If you're willing to be flexible and willing to change, who knows what lovely things can come out. It's just really it makes life exciting, I think. So I'm going to get my boxes of fabrics out next, and I will set you up so that you can see what I'm doing and enjoy the process as well. So let's see where we get to. It's so funny when you start a new project and you don't quite know where you want to go with it. So what I'm doing here is I'm just having a little look at some of my fabrics, and I'm trying to feel my way into the colours that I think I want to put together. And I'm feeling like some of this purple would be a good base. It's nice and shiny and rich. And I've just got this piece of lace which I think goes quite nicely with it as well. I might put a bit of shine in with it as well. What have I got down here? I've got this lacy stuff, but I think that's a bit too brown. But what I think I'd like to add in is over here I've also pulled out a turquoise box, which happens to have a bit of purpley stuff in as well, because everything gets a bit mixed up sometimes. And I think when I put that in with it, doesn't necessarily show up so well on camera actually, because the colours can go a bit funny, but that and that and that actually start to give me a bit of excitement, which is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bit of a buzz. I'm looking for some strong colours. I feel as though it needs to be strong and rich, and I think these are going to be the basis of it. So I'm going to start off with these. I'm going to cut my background and then see what else I want to add in. Okay, so I'm starting with my good old piece of stabilizer, which is my favourite Stitch and Tear, and I use this because if you iron something on, that means it's on forever. This gives me a choice that if I want to take it off or some of it off at some point, I can just tear it off if I don't like, you know, what it's doing to the back of the fabric. So that gives me a choice. Anyway, but iron-on ones are really good too. So these are the fabrics that I've got out. I'm just looking to see. I think this is a bit of lovely nightie that somebody had, or a slip. And let's just spread that out, and I'm going to put the piece of stitch and tear down, and I'm going to just cut around that roughly. It's terrible fabric, this, to sort of deal with because it slides all over the place. But if I just, those scissors are not very good. Let's find some better scissors. Okay, so we're just going to cut this out. I could pin it on, but you know what? Because when I'm just starting off like this and I've cut everything, I just cut things quite roughly. I'm not concerned really about the size as long as it stays roughly, because this is slidey fabric. I'm just making sure I'm cutting it a little bit bigger because I know it slides. I have experience of naughty materials doing this sort of slidey business. And let's just put there. Okay, so that gives me a nice base to work from. So if I put the stitch and tear down first, and I've got this lovely rich fabric. There we go. So you can see I've started to lay out some of the fabrics. I've got some really lovely pretty velvet which catches the eye, and I've got some of the lace that I showed you. If I just find that. Some of the pretty lace. It's got a nice, quite a reflective, light reflective quality as well, because it's a bit lighter than this. This background will also reflect some light. And then I've put these little strips of the turquoise on, which I think then immediately lift it. It suddenly gives it something to look at. And then I've cut these little wacky pieces. This is a sort of, I don't know what colour you'd call it, lilac-y blue. And I think if I pop those in, that'll just help the... So I'm just trying to work out where to put my hands. That just helps with the layout. This is awful material to cut. It's like a very fine lining material, and it's awful to cut. So what I'm trying to do is just do stripes that sort of feed into each other, so nothing's too set in one place, and then bearing in mind, you know, where the phones are going to be cut from. I don't like it to be too exact, but it gives me a rough idea. So this is a really nice dark turquoisey sort of fabric. It's got a lovely rich quality to it. I think I'm going rich here. I feel as though this is kind of a rich sort of feeling to it, and I'm starting to layer up, and if you add these colours into the mix, it just gives it a bit of depth, a bit of contrast, and by the time I've got stitching on as well, you know, it really pulls it all together. My intention is, this is a completely different colour, I warn you. This is, don't be shocked, this is a very shockingly different set of colours, but this is what I'm sort of basing it on, which was lots and lots of different pieces of fabric, really stitched hard down. I mean, you can hear it, how hard that is now, and on the back you can see the amount of stitching that I did into it, and that makes it really lovely. You get all these lovely colour mixes. So this is what I'm kind of intending for this to look like, but obviously not in those colours. So I've also got some nice lacy stuff here, which I'm going to add in, the turquoisey lace, which I thought looks quite nice if I can get it over on top of the this lilac-y sort of colour, the bluey lilac. It just sort of adds into the mix. And it doesn't really matter where I put things, as long as I kind of mix it up a little bit. So we've got a bit of variety going on, and then, as I say, the stitching is what will kind of pull it all together. And it's just got to make it, I don't know what the word is, just a good mix really, so that nothing's too samey. I don't think I want that down there. I might pop that up there. I might get a little bit of that. See, that splits the blue up there as well. And the other thing I was going to add in, if I can just find it in my rummage over here, is I suddenly thought I want something light and bright into it, but not too bright, because I feel as though this is a very rich mix. It's quite a mysterious mix, and I thought, oh, I think some copper would be very nice in there. So I'm not going to add that in just yet. I want to get some of this stitched down, and then I'll see where I'm going. It's always a process. It's always a process of exploring and discovering what it's all going to look like. And it changes as I go along, and I might suddenly think, oh, I'll add something else into the mix, or I might just keep it at these colours, because by the time if I get the stitching onto it, that will start to change it and make it more of a thing. Okay, we'll just get some of this pinned on next. And I know you can use all sorts of things to make your fabrics hold in place on these little jollies that you're doing, but I feel that pinning it is quite an old-fashioned way these days, but it's effective as far as I'm concerned. It does the job, it does what it says on the tin, and it doesn't mean I've got any, there's no glue involved or anything. It's just, and it means if I change my mind, I can take them off. There's nothing set in stone. I just pin them on and go for it, basically. It's easy enough to do. Okay, so this is me with a little sample of all the fabrics put down, because I suddenly thought I haven't actually done a sample of this, and I need to find out how it's going to work and how these fabrics are going to work together and what to put underneath, which I will talk about when I get back to the main piece. And I wanted to try out some different coloured threads, and I've also tried out, as I say, some different things underneath because I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work practically. So I'm just doing a little bit of free machine embroidery just to try that out. Okay, I think that's probably enough stitching on that. What I'll do now is I'll take this back over to my main table and we'll have a little look at it, and I'll tell you what I've changed my mind about, you know. So it's always important, try a sample, explore, and then you can change your mind if you need to, and that's what I've done.